is known as the third level. It is part of your study text of class 12th English course syllabus, and this story is mixed, interspersed with the world of reality as well as of science fiction. You all must at some point heard about time travel. What do we know about time travel? It is that we can go from one era to another, and that is something that we see the main protagonist in this story attempting to do. We find that Charlie is a 31-year-old man, and one day on his way back home from work, he decides to take the subway at the Grand Central Station in New York. When he reaches the station, he finds that instead of the two levels that he was aware of, there was a third level, and he had never seen this level before, and he thought he had discovered it by chance, but he was in a hurry, and so he enters himself through a long corridor into the third level. Now, when he knew New York Central Station, Grand Central Station, to be a very, very busy port, and it was a place where it was a lot of activity, and people were constantly running around trying to get from one place to another. But this particular station, at this point, the ticket windows were very less occupied. The ticket window looked very different. It looked as if it was something from another era, from another time. And he just could not understand why he was looking at such an old ticket window, something that was not the case on his usual trip to the station. So here he seems to be in a different place, and he is unable to understand or comprehend. This is what we see is New York Grand Central Station as it was when Charlie was going. But when he reaches the third level, there he finds that that particular station was deserted. There were not many people over there. It was more empty, and there was not a lot of people over there. All the people that were there were dressed differently, unlike what people used to be dressed in the usual dresses that he saw them wearing. So here he was able to, he was very confused, and yet he talks to them. Then he sees a newspaper, and the newspaper's date was June 11th, 1894. That means he realized that if this is that old newspaper, that means he had suddenly crossed over time, and he was there in 1894. Now 1894 as year, or even as a particular era in American history, was a relatively peaceful era. There was no war, and the Second World War was still 40 years away. So that was a very nice time to be in. And that's when he realized that this was a place where he could go anywhere in the United States. So he quickly goes to the ticket window to buy two tickets, one for his wife Louisa and one for himself. But the ticket seller at the window does not accept the currency that he gives him, because that currency is modern currency, and 1894 obviously different currency being used. So he realizes that now he has to get the previous currency. So what does he do? He wants to go and live in Galesburg, Illinois, with its huge houses, lovely lawns and trees. He was living in the city, which was perhaps full of cracked up accommodation. What he wanted to do was to live somewhere in the country where it was all open spaces and lots of fresh air. So he decides the next day, life savings into that old currency, come back to the third level and buy tickets and be gone from there. He shares this information with his friend Sam Wiener. Sam was also a psychiatrist, and he tells him that the reason why he is feeling like this is because he wants to escape from the modern stress of life, and from the pressures that he as an individual perhaps is dealing with. Now we do understand that nowadays individuals, when they are working, when they are in professions or in any kind of such work related situations, they tend to face a lot of pressure and sometimes even a lot of stress. So here, working and living in Galesburg in the year 1894 seemed to have its advantages, because that was one time where he would not have to face all these kind of stresses. So he wanted to go and live, but he goes back the next day, and when he goes there, he cannot find that level again. He is unable to find the level, and he looks fervently for it. He goes around the entire central station, walking around in circles, but somehow he never finds the third level. He is confused and he is lost, but he does not stop looking. And of course, Charlie had cultivated a hobby of philatelics. Philatelics is known as the art of stamp collection. It's a hobby where you collect stamps of different eras and different times and different years of different countries also. And it's something that's very interesting and something very entertaining as well. And a hobby, it's a good thing because you gain a lot of knowledge from doing this. So here he was collecting stamps also, and in his old letters, he finds there is a letter from his friend Sam. His friend sent him a letter, and that letter was dated 1894, Galesburg, Illinois. So that means that maybe was this story really an imagination or just a dream that Charlie had, or really Sam had succeeded in finding the third level? These are some of the questions that they are asking. And at the same time, Louisa, his wife, also, after seeing that letter, leaves her husband, and they both continue looking for the third level. So, which is also representative of the modern man's quest for peace, the modern man's desire for living a easy and less stressful life, something which is unaffordable in the modern time. Because as I have explained earlier, we have already discussed this chapter in class 1. So I will be taking up once again the same issue, and this video I hope is going to be helpful for you. So thank you. This is the end of this video.